Not every warplane was built to win beauty contests. Some were mocked the moment they rolled onto runways, ungainly shapes, bloated fuselages, wings that seemed wrong. Pilots ridiculed them, enemies laughed, crews felt embarrassed. Yet these so-called ugly ducklings shocked everyone by becoming war's most decisive tools. From flying bricks to mechanical insects, these 10 aircraft proved looks don't kill. Firepower does. Prepare to discover how the ugliest planes became the deadliest. When the Avenger first appeared, its hulking frame raised serious doubts. The oversized fuselage, massive wings, and awkward greenhouse canopy hardly inspired confidence in anyone who saw it. This torpedo bomber looked more like a flying warehouse than a precision weapon of war. The Avenger's debut at Midway in 1942 was catastrophic. 5 of 6 aircraft were shot down. Yet the design rapidly evolved into something formidable. With a 3-man crew, it carried 2,000-pound torpedoes or bombs in a cavernous internal bay. Its defensive armament included a rear-facing 50-caliber machine gun turret that gave interceptors serious pause. Despite its bulk, the Avenger proved surprisingly resilient. It absorbed tremendous damage and still brought crews home safely, earning deep respect from those who flew it. Future President George H.W. Bush famously piloted one during Pacific operations, experiencing firsthand its rugged reliability. The Avenger's crowning achievements came during attacks on Japanese super battleships Musashi and Yamato. These missions demonstrated devastating effectiveness that silenced all critics. By war's end, over 9,800 had been produced, serving both American and British fleets with distinction. But if you think the Avenger looked ungainly, wait until you see our next aircraft. Pilots called it the flying brick for good reason. The Republic P-47 was enormous for a fighter, nearly matching medium bombers in weight and size. Its bulky fuselage, massive radial engine, and stubby wings earned it the unflattering nickname Jug. Many observers thought it resembled a flying barrel more than a sleek aerial predator. Critics initially dismissed the Thunderbolt as too heavy and clumsy for air combat. However, armed with 8.50 caliber machine guns, it possessed devastating firepower that could shred enemy aircraft. Its rugged airframe absorbed incredible punishment while continuing to fly, something German pilots learned to fear quickly. While not the most agile turner, the P-47's speed in dives and overwhelming firepower gave it lethal advantages. As the war progressed, it transformed into a devastating ground attack platform. With bombs, rockets, and guns, it became the bane of German armor and supply lines across Europe. Flying thousands of sorties, P-47s destroyed tanks, trains, and convoys, effectively strangling Wehrmacht logistics. By war's conclusion, Thunderbolts had achieved over 7,000 air-to-air kills while playing decisive roles in securing Allied air superiority. Pilots who initially sneered at its ungainly proportions grew to love its reliability and survivability. The Jug proved that sometimes the biggest fighters hit hardest. This heavyweight champion wasn't alone in defying expectations. Our next aircraft earned the nickname Whispering Death for reasons that will shock you. The Bristol Beaufighter appeared thoroughly ungainly with its stubby fuselage, elongated nose, and thick wings. As a twin-engine derivative of the Beaufort bomber, it seemed too heavy for agile combat, but appearances proved devastatingly deceptive in this case. Introduced in 1940, the Beaufighter became one of Britain's most versatile wartime aircraft. Armed with 420mm Hispano cannons and 6.303 machine guns, it ranked among the most heavily armed fighters of its era. This firepower concentration made it particularly lethal in nighttime operations. Fitted with early radar systems, it excelled as a night fighter, intercepting German bombers during the London Blitz. Luftwaffe crews nicknamed it Whispering Death because its quiet engines provided little warning before devastating attacks materialized from darkness. Beyond night fighting, the Beaufighter proved equally deadly as a maritime strike aircraft. Equipped with rockets and torpedoes, it devastated Axis shipping throughout the Mediterranean and Pacific theaters. Its ability to fly low-level missions while absorbing significant damage made it ideal for the most dangerous assignments. Though overshadowed by sleeker Spitfires and Mosquitoes in popular imagination, the Beaufighter earned its reputation through pure effectiveness. From London's night skies to Pacific sea lanes, it delivered results far exceeding what its dumpy profile suggested. Speaking of unconventional designs, our next aircraft looked like something from science fiction and revolutionized night combat forever. With its bulbous nose, extended tail booms, and oversized frame, the Northrop P-61 resembled an experimental contraption more than a combat aircraft. Yet this ungainly machine became the world's first purpose-built night fighter, revolutionizing after-dark aerial warfare. Introduced in 1944, the P-61 carried sophisticated radar equipment in its distinctive bulbous nose, allowing crews to hunt enemy bombers and fighters under complete darkness. Operating with 3 crew members, pilot, radar operator, and gunner, it packed formidable firepower through 420mm cannons and .50 caliber machine guns in a dorsal turret. At nearly 45 feet long and weighing 30,000 pounds when loaded, it dwarfed conventional fighters significantly. However, its impressive speed, extended range, and advanced radar systems made it highly effective in its specialized role. Black Widows successfully intercepted Japanese aircraft over Pacific theaters and German intruders over European skies, achieving the first radar-guided air-to-air kills in aviation history. One notable achievement occurred when a Black Widow shot down a Japanese Nakajima Ki-84 just minutes after Japan announced surrender in August 1945. Though mocked for its awkward appearance, the Black Widow represented a revolutionary leap in aerial combat technology. It proved that unconventional designs could be genuinely groundbreaking, establishing foundations for all-weather fighter tactics in the approaching jet age. Our next aircraft took ungainly to new heights, literally floating on water while bristling with so many guns it earned a spiky nickname. The short Sunderland flying boat was a lumbering giant with its deep fuselage and 4 engines, creating an undeniably ungainly silhouette in flight. Often described as clumsy-looking, it earned the nickname Flying Porcupine due to its bristling defensive armament configuration. Entering service in 1938 as a maritime patrol aircraft, critics initially dismissed it as too slow and ungainly to survive encounters with modern enemy fighters. However, the Sunderland proved itself invaluable over Atlantic waters, becoming an effective U-boat hunter that significantly contributed to winning the Battle of the Atlantic. Its exceptional range allowed extensive ocean patrols, while depth charges and multiple machine guns provided serious offensive and defensive capabilities. German pilots received shocking surprises when attacking Sunderlands, meeting unexpectedly fierce volumes of defensive fire from multiple gun turrets positioned throughout the aircraft's hull. In one famous 1943 encounter, a single Sunderland fought off 8 Ju-88 fighters simultaneously, shooting down 3 before successfully returning to base. Beyond combat operations, Sunderlands transported vital supplies, evacuated stranded troops, and even carried VIPs on critical missions. The Sunderland's ungainly bulk wasn't a design weakness. It created a flying fortress that ruled ocean skies with authority and effectiveness that silenced all doubters. If the Sunderland looked like a fortress, our next aircraft actually was one. German soldiers called it the Flying Tank, for terrifying reasons. The Ilyushin IL-2 Sturmovik was so heavily armored and boxy that German soldiers called it the Flying Tank. With its thick, ungainly fuselage and stubby wings, elegance was clearly never a design priority, yet it became arguably the most important Soviet aircraft of the entire war. The IL-2 featured heavy steel plating around cockpit and engine areas, allowing it to survive incredible punishment while delivering devastating ground attacks. Armed with cannons, bombs, and rockets, it systematically destroyed German tanks and supply lines during crucial battles like Kursk. Produced in staggering numbers, over 36,000 units, it became the most manufactured combat aircraft in history. Early war losses were appalling as pilots and gunners learned effective tactics, but the IL-2 eventually became a cornerstone of Soviet offensives across the Eastern Front. Germans feared it so intensely, they developed specialized anti-aircraft units specifically designed to counter Sturmovik attacks. Whenever IL-2s appeared over battlefields, German troops knew brutal assaults were imminent and unavoidable. The aircraft's crews endured tremendous casualties, but their sacrifice proved decisive in countless engagements. Clumsy in appearance but mighty in function, the Sturmovik embodied Soviet resilience and determination, becoming more than just a warplane. It was a symbol of defiance. From the Eastern Front's flying tank, we moved to the Pacific's most unlikely hero, an aircraft that looked like a cartoon but saved thousands of lives. The consolidated PBY Catalina was hardly graceful with its bulbous hull, high-mounted parasol wing, and awkward-looking floats. It resembled something from an animated cartoon more than a serious military aircraft, yet it became one of World War II's most versatile and valuable aircraft. The Catalina's greatest asset was extraordinary endurance. It could remain airborne for over 18 hours, patrolling vast ocean expanses for enemy submarines and stranded personnel. This capability proved invaluable across Pacific theaters where distances between bases stretched for thousands of miles. Catalinas played critical roles in the Pacific War, including locating the Japanese fleet before the pivotal Battle of Midway, helping tip the balance of that crucial engagement. They rescued countless downed airmen and sailors across vast waters, often operating under direct enemy fire while performing these life-saving missions. Beyond rescue operations, they carried bombs and depth charges, successfully sinking U-boats and attacking enemy convoys. Though painfully slow and vulnerable to fighter attacks, their ability to perform countless specialized roles made them absolutely indispensable to Allied operations. More than 3,000 were manufactured, serving in virtually every theater of war with distinction. The Catalina's ungainly appearance invited constant mockery, but its operational record spoke far louder than critics ever could. Our next aircraft proves that even dive bombers could be controversial. This one was so problematic, it nearly ended careers. The Curtiss SB-2C Helldiver earned the unflattering nickname The Beast from crews who flew it, and for good reasons that extended far beyond its ungainly appearance. This dive bomber featured an awkward, elongated fuselage and troublesome handling characteristics that made it initially unpopular with naval aviators. Early versions suffered from numerous mechanical problems, structural weaknesses, and poor flight characteristics that endangered crews. The aircraft's size and weight made carrier operations particularly challenging, leading many pilots to prefer the older, smaller, dauntless dive bomber it was meant to replace. However, persistent engineering improvements gradually transformed the problematic Helldiver into an effective combat aircraft. By 1944, refined versions demonstrated impressive dive bombing accuracy and substantial payload capacity that made them valuable assets in Pacific operations. The Helldiver's internal bomb bay could carry larger ordnance loads than its predecessor while maintaining better aerodynamics during high-speed dives. Its defensive armament, including twin 30 caliber rear guns, provided reasonable protection against intercepting fighters. Despite initial problems, Helldivers participated in major Pacific campaigns, including the Philippines, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. They proved particularly effective against Japanese shipping and ground installations, eventually vindicating their troubled development process. From problematic beginnings to combat effectiveness, the Helldiver's story proves that persistence can overcome even the worst first impressions. But speaking of first impressions, our next fighter initially terrified its own pilots before becoming a legendary warrior. The Vought F-4. U-Corsair's distinctive inverted gull wings created one of aviation's most unusual silhouettes, earning it the nickname bent-wing bird. This unconventional design initially caused serious problems that nearly prevented the aircraft from reaching its legendary status. Early Corsairs suffered from dangerous landing characteristics that made carrier operations extremely hazardous. The long nose blocked forward visibility during approaches, while the aircraft's tendency to stall unpredictably during landing attempts resulted in numerous accidents and pilot deaths. These problems initially relegated Corsairs to land-based Marine Corps squadrons rather than Navy carrier operations. However, Marine pilots quickly discovered the aircraft's exceptional combat capabilities once airborne, transforming it into a formidable weapon against Japanese forces across Pacific islands. The Corsair's powerful engine and sturdy construction made it incredibly fast and resilient in combat situations. Its 6.50 caliber machine guns provided devastating firepower, while its ability to carry substantial bomb loads made it effective for ground attack missions. Japanese pilots nicknamed it Whistling Death, due to the distinctive sound its air intakes made during high-speed dives. By war's end, Corsairs had achieved kill ratios exceeding 11-to-1 against Japanese aircraft, proving that unusual designs could become genuinely superior weapons. From American innovation to German engineering, our final aircraft shows that even enemy designs could surprise everyone, including their own creators. The Heinkel. He-111 featured a distinctive glazed nose that gave it an almost insect-like appearance, quite different from the angular designs typical of most contemporary bombers. This unusual configuration initially drew skepticism from Luftwaffe personnel who questioned its combat effectiveness. Originally designed as a civilian airliner, the He-111's conversion to bomber role retained many transport aircraft characteristics that seemed inappropriate for military service. Its rounded fuselage and extensive glazing appeared vulnerable to defensive fire, while its relatively modest defensive armament seemed inadequate for survival over hostile territory. However, during early war campaigns, including Poland, Norway, and the Battle of France, the He-111 proved remarkably effective. Its decent speed, reasonable payload capacity, and acceptable range made it a backbone of German bombing operations throughout these successful campaigns. The aircraft's unusual nose design actually provided excellent visibility for navigation and bomb aiming, while its sturdy construction proved more resilient than critics anticipated. During the Battle of Britain, He-111s formed the core of German bombing formations targeting British cities and military installations. Though eventually outclassed by improved Allied fighters and air defenses, the He-11 demonstrated that unconventional designs could achieve impressive results when properly employed. Its unexpected effectiveness in early campaigns helped establish German air superiority during the war's initial phases. These 10 aircraft remind us that in warfare, function trumps form every time. From flying bricks to mechanical insects, each proved that true beauty lies not in elegant lines, but in mission effectiveness. Their legacy extends far beyond their awkward silhouettes. They changed the course of history through sheer determination and engineering ingenuity. Keep exploring aviation's surprising stories with Heritage, where every aircraft has secrets worth discovering.